I was super bullied as a youth, and also being a queer female business owner in Utah, it meant a lot for me to create a space that no matter what you are, you come in and feel okay.
You're listening to the Aerial Hour, episode number 5. The Aerial Hour is a show for aerial entrepreneurs and enthusiasts to come together, share ideas, and continue to grow our ever-evolving community. In this week's episode, I talked to Shay Williamson of Kairos Fitness out in Utah, and we talk about all the things because she literally does all the things. In addition to running 2 successful studios and competing, Shay also owns and operates Dew Point, as well as the Aerialympics, which is a huge aerial competition. She recently won Pole Theatre Canada, and if you haven't seen the video, definitely check out our show notes because it is so awesome. I also want to give a special shout out to her partner, B, who is just such an awesome person. I really can't wait to visit them in Utah. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Aerial Hour to stay up to date with where we head to next. If you want to know more about this particular episode, head over to theaerialhour.com to check out the show notes, which I work really hard on, so give them a look. If you want to show us some extra love, write us a review on Apple. This helps other people find us more easily. I'm really excited for you guys to hear this episode, so I'll see you on the other side. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Aerial Hour. Today, I am so excited to be joined by Shay Williamson, and she's here to tell us all about literally everything that she does, because there's so many things.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you. So, real quick, you're in town. We're currently in St. Petersburg, Florida, sitting in my girlfriend's pole space, and you're in town for Nocturnal tonight.
Yes, so excited.
So excited. I hear the show is sold out. I'm so excited for Natalia and Dawn.
Yeah, on their first go of it.
show.
That's so cool.
Seems like a really cool space. I'm really excited to see you perform tonight.
Thank you.
Yes. So let's get right into it. How long have you been dancing for?
So I've been dancing most of my life. I did traditional dance and ballet as a youth and a little bit in college, and then I took a little bit of break, and almost 7 years ago started pole.
Wow.
Yep.
You're amazing.
Thank you.
That's it?
That's
7
it.
years?
Yep.
Okay, that's incredible. How long was it before you started wanting to open your own space?
It was a year and a half
A year and a
before I
half?
opened my own space.
Okay.
Yeah.
What made you decide to open your own space?
So I was teaching at a studio in my area at the time, and she pulled me aside one day and said, I'm going to close this studio on New Year, and I think you should buy my client list. And I selfishly, partly, didn't want to have nowhere to train and nowhere to go. And then I also didn't want to stop seeing my students and my friends, and so that's how it happened.
Yeah. So you have currently 2 studios.
Correct.
In Utah.
Yes.
What are they called?
Kairos Fitness.
Yes. And how did you're in a small town in Utah?
Small town compared to big cities.
Yeah.
However, they're pretty decently sized cities.
Okay. And where are your 2 studios located?
So I have one in Ogden, Utah, and one in Centerville, Utah, which is North Salt Lake City.
Okay, very cool. How did you go about establishing your business at first?
I feel very fortunate in that because I bought a client list that already existed, I got to take those students with me. I invited every instructor that taught at that former studio to teach for me. So really, I was very lucky in that I just transplanted and rehomed, so to speak, a bunch of people. We did a lot of really weird marketing and a lot of parades and a lot of like city days and all that kind of stuff. So it helped us establish. And luckily for us, we live in Utah. People are getting married all the time. So we put out a Groupon for a bachelorette party. And I would say a good handful of my instructors came originally as students from bachelorette parties, or my instructors as well. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
When you purchased her client list, did you also move into her space or did you find your own?
So yes and no. I had taken over the lease because she was mid-lease for one of her spaces. However, the city within 6 weeks, bought the building from underneath me. It was a historic building. So they gave me 6 months to exit almost immediately.
Oh, wow.
So it worked out because then I got to find my new space and build it the way I wanted to. And so we ended up moving 6 blocks south.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't too bad.
Right.
Same city in Ogden. And then we picked the space that we have in Centerville last summer, and just in about 8 days we'll come up on the 1-year anniversary of the new studio. So
that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
That's so big. You mentioned that you got to build the space the way you wanted to. So can you tell me, how did you want to build it?
So for my Ogden studio, I wanted it to feel really intimate and really private. So the Ogden studio has 3 separate rooms. It has an aerial room, a yoga or flex room that also has black lights, so we can do exotic floor. And then the pole room is private as well, and it also is equipped with black lights, so we can do exotic dance back there.
That's really cool. So was it
Yeah.
important for you to start from the very get-go with everything?
Yes.
Okay.
I always wanted aerial. I wanted all kinds of pole, contemporary, exotic, fitness. I didn't want to exclude anybody. So for that reason, because I was a little bit nervous being in Utah, I wanted to keep the exotic dance totally private so we could still have family classes.
I totally get that. That makes sense.
Yeah, and in our Centerville studio, I wanted it to feel more of like an open circus gym where we could have performance spaces and things like that. So that one is a big warehouse where everything is together, but there is a private room for the exotic classes that is curtained off.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I love that you have a space that you can now do shows in.
Yeah, that was my ultimate goal. So
Yeah.
it was amazing to realize that goal.
Right. How long was it before you opened your second studio?
5 years.
Okay, so you had kind of gotten a handle on everything.
So one of the spaces I had grandfathered in, there were 2 of them.
Oh, okay.
So we went maybe 2.5, 3 years with that. It was very, very small, like 1,000 square feet.
Okay.
Way out west in a small town. So when that lease ended, we went for about 2 years with just one studio, and I saved up money and I found the perfect space. So I had a little bit of experience managing 2 studios, but nothing like what is happening now. Not 2 large studios.
Right.
So
I see you have a lot of different types of classes. Do you feel like that brings in a different, bigger variety of students? What was the reasoning behind offering so many different types of classes?
I do feel like it brings in a variety, especially in our area, our demographic. Some people are very conservative, others are not. And I don't want to exclude anybody. There's such a large opportunity for doing stuff, so why not do it all right here?
Yeah.
If I have the instructors and if I have the space, I want to be able to offer that.
Yeah.
Everyone, it seems like, comes from a dance or a sports background as a kid in Utah. So we all have nowhere to go once we turn 18, so we turn to the circus.
Yeah, same experience. That's great. What are some of the challenges that you're facing now running 2 large spaces?
The biggest challenge running 2 large studios is finding the time to be in both of them and to manage both of them. That being said, I have a great team that does a great job, and I'm very lucky and very appreciative of them, but I do still feel like one studio gets a little bit more neglect from me than the other. When I had just one studio, I knew every student, I knew everybody's goals, I knew everybody's everything, and now it's a little harder. There's people I don't see.
Yeah, it sounds like you're a mom.
Oh, yeah.
These are your 2 children. And you're
And my
feeling,
400 student children.
Right, right. It's a lot to keep track with. So you mentioned that you have a team behind you. Can you tell me a little bit about who's helping you running this studio?
Let me just take a moment to brag about the Kairos staff because they are the best. I have about 35.
Wow.
I know, it's amazing.
Yeah.
A huge staff. Our management team is a team of 4 girls, and they keep the studios clean. They manage small daily things. They answer my emails, the voicemails, that sort of stuff. So they do a lot of the admin work that frees me up to do other things. So they deserve praise of their own. And then all of my instructors are so self-sufficient and so knowledgeable, and they are on top of their own training and their curriculum. And it really, I just am really very lucky to have such a great staff.
I'm not going to gush too much, but I think that says a lot about who you are and how you operate your business. You know, a team is only as good as the leader.
Thank you.
Yeah. I want to talk to you a little bit about why you named your business Kairos Fitness. Yeah.
It's the best. Honestly, I was in the bathtub when I found that name, but everything I do that has any value happens in the bathtub. So there's your weird thing.
Yep, right. Making a note. Bath.
I wanted it to be like the perfect name. I wanted it to feel like it had meaning, because neither of my names are incredibly interesting, and I'm not very punny on purpose. And so I was just searching interesting words, interesting names, and I came across the meaning of Kairos, and I was like, oh, that's it. I know nobody's going to be able to say it ever, but it doesn't matter because of the meaning.
Yeah. So what's the meaning behind it?
The meaning of Kairos is the opportune moment in time for movement.
That is so beautiful.
Thank you.
I was doing the research, and Phil, my husband, helps me do the research for this, and he looked up Cairo, Egypt, and said, this is what it is. And I said, I don't think so. And then looked it up and saw the definition, and I think that speaks so well to what this is.
Yeah.
You know? I think it also kind of creates this idea of coming into your space to get that opportunity, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
So tell me a little bit about the feeling in your spaces. Give me a little bit about the vibe.
I love the vibe. Everybody loves each other. Everybody is so kind. You walk in and you just always hear like cheers and highs and giggles. And there's people of every age, every gender, every background, every ethnicity. We are so random. And we all just, it's like everything goes away at the door, and you come in and everybody is a family to everyone else. And I was super bullied as a youth, and also being a queer female business owner in Utah, it meant a lot for me to create a space that no matter what you are, you come in and feel okay. So that's how I feel that it is. I think we do a pretty good job.
I know you do a good job. I looked through your reviews on your business page and literally started crying. Each review either mentioned how supported or accepting or loving the spaces that you've created. That's the type of environment I want to walk into. You know, you can feel it, like you were saying, as soon as you walk in the door, somebody says, yay, you're here. Like, that's the best feeling ever. But more importantly, that supportive environment, especially in these spaces, we're doing things I feel like that are really awkward feeling and, you know, falling down and not getting something on the first million tries. I think it's really, really important to have that type of environment. How have you been able to achieve that? Is there anything that you can like quantify? Like, this is how I make that work.
I think a lot of it is, again, my staff, and we are very clear on every success is a big success. And you treat people the way you want to be treated when you're trying something new and scary and hard. And I feel like we really give the love we want to receive. And it seems fairly easy. Yeah. Most days.
Yeah, yeah. When you first opened I guess you had the one space and then you decided to open the second space. What are some of the challenges that you had in that first year?
So we're coming up on closing that first year, and I still feel like it does have a lot of the new business challenge. This is a 6,000 square foot circus space.
Wow.
It's huge. So there's that. Because we have 23-foot ceilings and we have beautiful, large, advanced circus space, we pulled in a lot of advanced circus students.
Yeah.
So my biggest challenge with that one is bringing in our new guys.
Okay.
Our intro to aerial foundations and our intro to pole and flex students that may not have heard of us yet.
Right.
We're in a fairly conservative city for the new one. So it's hard to get people to come in because they hear the word pole and they immediately think that they have to keep their children away.
Yeah.
So that I would say is the hardest thing is growing our clientele to fill that big new space.
What are some ways that you've been able to get people in the door?
We offer a lot of word of mouth.
Okay.
Our instructors brag about the studio all the time. We do offer a kids program that runs in terms.
Okay.
It's called the Kids of Kairos. And it's so cute. And we advertise for that fairly well.
Okay.
We're really lucky that next door we have a children's musical theater studio.
Oh, nice.
And we have made friends with the owners, and there's a little bit of cross-promoting there. And the owners there have really helped squash any sort of misgivings or confusion that the parents might have had about why is there a pole studio next door? And we've had a lot of kids and their parents walk in and see aerial classes. And So we invite them to all of our student recitals. We invite them to like instructor parties and stuff like that, so they can just see it.
That's interesting. Yeah. Instructor parties. Can you tell me a little bit
when
about
we
that?
opened, we had like, instead of a regular open house, we had an instructor showcase.
Oh,
and
that's so smart.
Yeah, so we could show off what our instructors do and who you could learn from, and everybody could walk around the space. We had a food truck come in, and
what a profound idea.
it was really fun.
Yeah, that's amazing. Where did that idea come from to do a showcase? The bathtub again.
I feel like that's my like debrief space. I go home and unwind, and all of my creativity comes out of the Epsom salts. I don't know.
Yes.
I just wanted to really, a student recital would have been awesome for a grand opening, but I wanted people that didn't know who we were to come in, and so I wanted them to see us as instructors.
Yeah.
So I didn't put any limitations on the instructors as far as what they could dance to or what they could perform to. I just said, just keep in mind, this is all ages and open to the public, and let your personality do what it wants to do.
That's amazing. What a great idea. Did you have a lot of people coming in after that?
Oh, yeah. We had, and even now, I would say now that we're coming up on the year, our memberships are doing much better. It's a few year process, I think, to grow from nothing, so...
Yeah. What are some of the things that make it so it is a couple of years process?
I think being in our industry, it's really hard to advertise to the mainstream in a way that people understand. Also, we're small businesses, oftentimes owned by one person who is trying to figure this out. This is an art, so we're not making any money doing this.
Right.
So mainstream advertising is really difficult for a lot of reasons. And then there's always that stigma, which is so stupid.
Right. Hopefully it's starting to change.
Yeah. And surprisingly in Utah, I've got a lot of moms that come in and they are freaky.
Yeah. Yeah.
They got some repressed business going on, and they're like, let's do this in
I'm
exotic
here for
dance
this.
class.
Yes.
And you're like, yes,
I'm going to twerk it out.
Okay, girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, girl. Going back to the children's classes that you offer, when did you start offering those?
Immediately.
From
the day one of opening Kairos, we had kids classes. I knew I wanted to do a little bit different than the studio I was teaching at and learning from. It was women only. That's it. Yeah. Adults. And I just saw this huge demographic that we're missing. Why women only? Men can do this. Non-binary people can absolutely do this. I don't care what you identify as. And also, have you ever met a kid on a playground?
Right.
They need to be in circus classes. And I was bored in ballet sometimes. And if I could have like jumped up and down and flipped around in a lira, I would have been like, dope, let's
do this all the time.
Let's do this forever.
Yeah, put one in the house. Did you have to do any special training to start offering those children classes, or insurance issues? Or
insurance was really easy. I have been very fortunate with my insurance agent. He has been on board since day one and has treated me really well and fairly. I personally don't teach the children's classes. I taught 3-year-old ballet when I was younger, and I'm good on teaching 3-year-olds how to do things. However, my children's instructors are highly educated in youth. Our very first one had a master's in childhood education and a minor in dance.
Wow.
So she was perfect.
Yeah.
And she taught her successor. And the one that we have now is also a children's teacher and has a master's degree in childhood education. And she was someone that I grew up dancing with.
Okay.
So these people are very qualified.
Yeah.
And you can tell how much they love the kids.
Yeah.
And that's really a selling point for it.
For sure. And you're accessing so many people that could continue to stay with your business and grow as you grow. Yep. That's really amazing. Let's talk a little bit about the types of classes that you offer. Okay. I know you said that you're not very punny, but I'm kind of in love with the names of your classes.
Thanks.
You have abs or ass and abs.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fun. And you have blacklight classes.
So blacklight is how we call our exotic class, just to keep
that word out of it.
To keep it kosher for the city.
Okay. And you also offer like belly dance classes and hip hop classes and
they're very popular.
They are.
Yeah.
Okay. Was that something you offered from day one?
Yes.
Or really? Okay. So these classes have been running a long time.
Yeah.
Has the types of classes that you've offered changed over the years?
They varied a little bit and evolved a little bit. We used to have a hand balancing class, but now we have a yoga inversions class, which is similar in structure, except it's a little bit more all levels. And We find that the name yoga inversions is less intimidating than hand balancing because you can learn how to do a headstand. You can learn how to do a shoulder stall.
Okay.
These more ground up skills rather than just handstands.
Yeah. Were you specific in how you wanted to set up the schedule and like offering the different classes?
There is some method, but really it depends on the instructor and their schedule.
Okay.
We find that the hours they're offered are the most popular hours, and we are closed on Fridays because people don't typically come on Friday.
Okay.
But generally speaking, the instructor picks their schedule. We do like to have a bendy, which is our flexibility class, between the more advanced class and the intro classes, just so that they can be nice and warm for their more advanced class.
Smart.
Yeah.
That's really
So there's
smart.
a little bit of a method there.
Yeah, for sure. You also offer workshops throughout the year. One of them specifically that I want to talk to you about is your injury prevention workshop. It's really interesting. I don't know if I've seen a whole lot of that. Can you tell me like what goes into that?
Yeah. So how many of my instructors are on their way to being PAs? Not PAs.
PhDs.
One of them, they're going to be physical therapists, PTs. Sorry. We've got 2 instructors on their way to being PTs and a couple others in a similar field. So we're really sticklers on how do you stretch? How do you warm up? How do you cool down? Why are we partner stretching? What is our partner actually doing for us? And do they need to be doing that? So that workshop was a lot of that combined into a more condensed workshop.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times you've seen, I pulled my rhombus, I've pulled my quad, I've pulled every muscle in my body because I just hopped on a pole earlier or whatever. So we wanted to talk about what you could do effectively to strengthen and lengthen and warm up and cool down appropriately.
I like that. Did you see a lot of people coming to that?
There were, yeah. We had quite a full studio for that one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Is that the first one that you've done?
That was actually the first one, and our instructor named Kenzie and her boss at her physical therapy office taught that one.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so they had a physical therapist who actually helped me out and her come in and do some charts and graphs and the whole thing, and it was really cool.
Was that offered to like all students
Anybody.
across the board? Okay, cool. Yep. Very cool. Did you get people from every different variety of class?
Yeah.
That's great. That's really, I love that there's something like that out there and that people are taking advantage of it.
Oh, I think there needs to be more.
I totally agree. Totally agree. Speaking about your amazing instructors, how do you go about finding your instructors and hiring them?
So I would say I've got probably 8 of the original instructors from 2014. Wow. Yeah, we've got a lot of us that have just stayed, and I'm so grateful they've stuck with me through my learning curves and my stupid decisions and my mistakes and all of that stuff. A lot of them were students that I either said, hey, I'm looking to hire some instructors. Would you like to train as an instructor? Or they have approached me and said, here's my resume. I'd like to train as an instructor. I've been very lucky that I've never really hurt for instructors. We've got so much talent in our area that I almost have to turn them away. When I opened the new location in Centerville, we had more people apply than I could have possibly taken, which broke my heart because I want them all. But
that makes my heart grow for your studios. That's so
it was
amazing.
Really amazing. And so we make them train. They get the opportunity to train as an instructor to make sure that they understand how Kairos operates and what's expected of them. And then they shadow for a while. And then they get to teach one of my classes, and then they get to teach a couple of other instructors' classes for feedback.
Okay.
And then at that point, they're given their own class.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have them kind of choose the classes that they want to teach, or how does that work?
They get to say, I'm comfortable teaching pole levels 1, 2, and 3, or flexibility, or whatever it is. And then I do encourage my instructors to cross-train so that when substitutes are needed, we can have that. So even if they start out just as a pole or just as a silks teacher, they're highly encouraged to cross-train so that they can switch and be a more integral part of the team.
That's amazing.
And they do pretty well at that.
Yeah. What are some of the qualities that you look for in instructors?
I really like instructors that are well-spoken and really, really good at explaining why we are doing what we are doing with our body. Not just put your hand here, put my hand here and activate which muscle. Why? I feel like a lot of the methodology of teaching in the last 7 years that I've been in pole has changed a lot.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot of things that were bad. And I had to unlearn that or go through an injury and heal it.
Yeah.
So I like teachers that will help me not get injured and teach me why I'm doing things.
That's great.
So that's probably the most important thing for
Yeah.
me.
Are you also looking at kind of personality and how they vibe with people, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's almost given in this kind of an industry. But I don't know if this is the right way to say that. I feel like I wouldn't even consider them if I didn't feel that they would fit in the family.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah,
That seems a little harsh.
No. I think this is a question that I've been asking a lot of people, because is somebody that doesn't own a studio and that is just an instructor, I'm always curious and what specifically you look for in your instructors. And across the board, everybody has said, first personality, then everything else. But I think it's really important to mention that.
Yeah.
Because that's how we are creating safe spaces.
Right.
That's how we're having people come in and not be afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Is those type of people. So you mentioned how many instructors that you have. Is working with that many how you kind of balance everything so you're not doing too much?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How long was it before you started delegating things?
Well, if you ask my partner, I'm still not delegating.
Oh.
I would say at the beginning of 2018 is when I really hit a point where I was like, okay, buddy, you have to do less. You have all these other things outside of Kairos, and you cannot keep doing the little things.
Yeah.
So I would say that's when I really started. And there's an ebb and flow to that too, as there always will be. But
Yeah.
I feel like it's been fairly recent.
You mentioned that you have a couple of managers, and so they're kind of taking over the administrative parts.
Correct.
And how many classes are you currently teaching on a weekly basis?
17 or so.
Wow. 17 classes?
I think that's got to be pretty close to accurate if I'm not subbing for anybody.
That's a lot. That's amazing. But that just shows how much you love it.
Yeah, I do. If I don't teach, I get sad.
Yeah.
It's the admin that makes me
Right.
turn into a gremlin.
Right.
Teaching gives me life.
Yeah,
so.
it fills me up. That's amazing. So do you have 2 managers at each studio, or how does that work?
I'm really lucky. They all switch. They take turns. So most of the managers in the reception, they kind of do every other day at each studio.
Okay.
And they switch around and change scenery and do that kind of stuff.
How far apart are the studios from each other?
20-minute drive.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Very cool. So I want to kind of switch topics a little bit and talk about you competing. First off, congratulations on being the overall winner in pole theater.
Oh my God. Thank you.
Just incredible in Canada. Can you tell me, when did you start competing?
I actually started competing. Well, I don't even know if you could say started competing. I did a pole competition in a bar in the boonies of Ogden in 2013.
Okay.
That was my first one. And then I didn't compete again until later the next year at PSO.
Okay.
So I kind of dabbled in competing the whole time I've been poling. I would say my career as a competitive pole dancer didn't start till 2016.
Okay. And what competition was that was
I did several PSOs. I did the qualifier at USPDF. I did North American Pole Dance Championships. I did the Arnolds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Why competing? Why is that important to you?
My whole goal with competing was to be well known enough that I could travel and teach.
That's
All I
awesome.
want to do is teach everywhere.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So it's never been about winning, really. It's more about visibility.
Correct.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I've had this conversation with a lot of people. I can't train to be a competitor that wins every competition. I own 3 businesses.
Right.
I have a partner. I have dogs. I have so much going on that I just can't train the way people that win competitions train.
So let's speak a little bit about that. What does your training look like? How do you choreograph your routines? In the bathtub? I'm just
always.
Yeah.
Every time. I would say it's a mix of quick and dirty and bathtub.
Bathtub, yeah.
I train when I can. If it's 45 minutes before I teach a class, great. If it's at 11 o'clock at night in my living room, great. I long for the days when I had 3-hour training periods at a time. I just try to get it in when I can.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for those times that I do have.
What is it? Is it structured, or are you just going on, like finding a song that you like, turning it on and recording?
Usually for me, I if I'm going to compete or perform, I typically always have a song in mind.
Okay.
If I don't, then yeah, it's the other way around. I'll do combos until I find a song. But I have been pretty lucky, I think, to always have a song for the idea.
Okay.
So it's just moving to that song.
Okay. And then you're like recording and kind of looking at what works and what doesn't. And that's how.
For pole theater, I actually had an idea of how to remove my article of clothing. And so we built the whole routine around that.
So dope.
One move.
So cool. And B got to be in it.
Yes, B is my partner. B got to be in it.
So cool. So when was Pole Theater Canada?
Pole Theater Canada was June 22nd.
Okay, so
June.
It's like barely been a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you seeing more visibility since that?
I think so. I think actually I won US PDF Miss Sexy last summer. And I think after that is when I really started to get a little bit more visibility.
Okay. And what has that done for your business?
I think it's been really good for my business. Surprisingly, in Utah, people are very excited to learn exotic from me. They're very excited to learn pole from me. I never thought of myself as an exotic dancer, but it kind of seems like that's where I found my niche.
Yeah. I would definitely consider you, like going through your videos. I was like, oh, I want to learn all of that.
I'll teach you.
Yes. Come up to Utah.
Okay, great.
Yes. So keeping the competition theme going, you have your own competition.
I do.
Called the Aerialympics.
Aerialympics.
Why did you start a competition?
So I actually started this competition the same year that I bought the studio.
Okay.
And the sole purpose that it started is because the previous owner held a competition too. So I was like, I better do what she did because people liked it. So the very first Aerialympics was in Ogden, Utah. It had 37 competitors.
Oh, I love that.
And it was just a little guy.
That seems kind of big though. 37 competitors.
The competition that we're having next weekend in St. Louis has 200.
Wow. And so this has been happening since 2014 and we're 2019. So 5 years.
5 years. And this is only our second year being national.
Wow.
Yeah.
That growth. How did that from 37 to 200 in 5 years?
I have two answers for that. The answer is my partners made me.
I love that.
And my partner and my business partners. Aerialympics is a partnership, and they said, we are taking this bigger.
Yeah.
And I said, no. And I lost that conversation, but I'm so glad we did.
Yeah. What was your hesitation in making it bigger?
I am terrified of failure, to be honest with you. I didn't want people to hate it. I didn't want hate mail, which I've gotten, and it is what it is. Nobody died from hate mail. I was just afraid that people would hate it or not think it was good enough or not sign up. I think that would be the scariest thing if I was like, I have this thing for you, and nobody signed up.
I totally get it.
Yeah.
100%. It's so funny that, like, it's hard for me to see everything that I'm doing. It's very easy for me to like look at my partner and see everything he's doing and be like, oh, you're doing all these
many cool things.
Yeah. I'm just me. I'm just little old me. So crazy.
It really is. And there are moments, B will say that to me all the time. I'm like, all I do is teach people how to point their toes, and I get a little bop on the head. Like, no.
Yeah.
That's not real.
It's funny. It's it's so easy to recognize somebody else's growth, but like, growing from 37 to 200 like that speaks to the competition that you're doing. Can you tell me a little bit about like what's different about it?
I would love that. I try to run Aerialympics similarly to Kairos. I want it to feel low pressure. I want it to feel fun. I want it to feel like a performance. My main goal is to give the very most novice aerialist who doesn't invert yet the same badass professional looking stage that I get to dance on.
Yeah.
I feel like no matter what level you are, you deserve that. You deserve awesome time on stage. You deserve the big screen with your name on it. It doesn't matter that you've been doing this for 10 years and you still don't invert.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Right.
Your work is valid, your work is hard, and you should have that experience.
That opportunity.
Yeah.
For movement.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so great.
So we really try to keep the cost effective. We try to give the biggest stage we can, and we make sure that it's the best experience for the aerialist.
So when you started this competition, you were doing it in your space, or?
When I started it, I did it at a local theater.
Okay.
We've never had this competition in a studio space
Okay.
because I wanted it to feel special.
Yeah.
So it's not something that on a business end makes any money, but it's not for that. It's for providing an experience.
That touches my heart. Like, you are giving 200 people the opportunity to perform. That's just beautiful. I'm not gonna cry. So you have all levels.
Yes.
How do you differentiate the levels?
So currently we have novice, intermediate, advanced, and all-star. We tried to keep it fairly simple, pretty easy to understand. As far as pole goes, it's generally easy to figure out. There aren't a whole lot of aerial options yet. We are kind of the first one to be doing a full-scale aerial competition. So there's been a little bit of adjustment in ebb and flow and learning curve with deciding those levels. And I've had to do a lot of consultation with an expert in silks and an expert in hammock and an expert in lyra. And we recently added a specialty apparatus.
I saw that.
So that one's been a fun challenge to try and
figure out. Is that things like the spirals and stuff like that? That's really cool.
We've had trapeze, we've had flying pole, we've had chains, we've had different shapes of apparatus, straps.
So now it's becoming such a big thing. Are you still holding it in the same space that you started?
Oh, no. We've moved to having our national competition at a big convention center in Salt Lake.
Wow.
And wherever we go throughout the country, we find a nice theater that understands what we're doing.
So do you move?
We do.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So making it easy for different parts of the country to kind of get there.
Yeah.
I noticed that you mentioned that it on the website for the Aerialympics that it mentions creating a family environment.
Correct.
Why is that important?
Because if we're going to have children in our competition, they have to be comfortable being there. And I just don't feel like excluding anybody is worth it. So there are parts of the competition. We do have an exotic division.
Right. So how do you set that up?
We set it up in a way that our all-star is on a separate night, and we put the exotic in with those people.
Okay, that makes sense.
And that will always be the case. That way, as we start to grow and do more competitions, people can always expect to see the all-star show and the exotic show at the same time. And then the whole rest of the competition is family-friendly so that everybody can come watch. We do want to encourage the public to come and see what we do so that we can mainstream this and it can be a little less taboo.
Right. How are you doing that?
We are advertising through the local theaters. We've done a lot of media with this stuff. We've been on local news channels several times as we travel. So we're just trying to give education and invite everybody so that they don't feel so scared of it.
Yeah.
So making it a family event feels like the best way to do that.
Wow. It's amazing, everything that you do. And this isn't even everything because, like, you also own Dew Point.
Yes.
Like, I really do not know how, like, what your day even would entail. It's so much. So you purchased Dew Point in 2016?
Correct, yes.
Why? Why did you purchase Dew Point?
You know, the former owner is such a wonderful woman and such a wonderful friend of mine that you almost just don't say no to her. On top of, I love the product, I believe in the product, and I really, really would be a worthless pole dancer without the product. And that was before I owned it.
Yeah.
So I met her when I bought the studio. She is local to me, was local to me. She's since moved away. And I became one of her Dew Point athletes, and I helped her with marketing and production. And she called me up one day and just said, Shay, I've got a different calling in life and I want to have a conversation with you. And she said, I really know that I know you love our product. I know you won't change it. I trust you to keep the standard, and I want you to have it. I want you to buy it from me.
What an honor.
Yeah. And so I figured it out, and I love it. I would never have done anything different.
Yeah. How have you made it your own? I think that's intimidating for a lot of people, is buying someone else's business and then feeling like, oh, how do I make this identify with my own values?
Honestly, we're just starting to we take little steps at a time with that. And I think just in the last maybe year and a half, there's been some noticeable differences in the marketing and the packaging and small things like that. We're doing a new label that reflects my style a little bit more. We are adding an additional product that still falls in line with the branding and the core values like vegan and cruelty-free and eco-friendly as much as possible. We're adding, so we're growing that way, and just small changes throughout that have amounted to be something a little bigger.
Were you like intentional with making small changes over time and not just being like, I own this now, this is what it is?
Yeah. I think there were two main reasons for me for doing that. One, I didn't want to drastically change a product that people already knew. I didn't want to scare them away.
Right.
And a big one, and this is the same for all of my businesses, I can handle one little change at a time. And I always refer to it as spinning plates. Yeah. I can spin these 3 plates at the same time. But if I were to add 5 more right at once, I'm going to drop them all. So if I can get to 3 and then I get that, I can add another one. I can change another thing. Slow changes are manageable for me.
Yeah. Do you have a background in marketing at all? Or is this all? No. Oh, no.
No.
Really? No.
Making it up as I go.
Really?
Yeah.
You have a knack for this.
Thank you.
It was not hard to find you. So how have you developed those skills? Is this any training that you've done, or is this just something that's innate for you?
I read a lot. I read a lot of business books. I have a friend and my assistant who does help me with marketing, and she does a lot of great things for me. And I learn from her, and I learn from watching, and I know what works for me as far as being a consumer goes. And so I also know what doesn't work for me as a consumer. So maybe it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, I like that you take into consideration what you would want. I think that a lot of times, I know for myself, when I'm thinking about doing something, I'm like, oh, I just want that'd be nice for me. Nobody else cares about that. But what I'm finding out is it's just the opposite. If there's something lacking that I'm seeing, probably other people are seeing it too. Right. So that's really interesting that that's something that you consider.
Especially because we're involved in our industry. So as an aerialist, as a pole dancer, what do I and don't I want to see?
Right. Totally agree. So you currently are developing a new product.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that and what it looks like to make a new product?
So the new product, I can tell you the name of it. It's called Do Dry. And recently in our industry, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's been really difficult to find.
Yes. The grip aid.
The grip aid. And I thought, you know what? Why not?
Yeah.
Let's just do it.
Absolutely.
How hard can it be? Turns out it's really hard.
Yeah, I was just going to ask.
Turns out that's not an easy thing to create. I took a few chemistry classes in college, and let me tell you, I failed so miserably at this that I hired a chemist.
Okay.
So I said, here's what I need it to be. I need it to follow this structure so that it fits in line with my branding. I'm not willing to have animal products or dyes or fragrances or anything like that. It needs to be clean on our skin. I don't want it to clog our pores. Right. And our new product is clean and it's grippy and it washes off. And at the very end of it, your hands are so soft, which is so weird.
Yeah.
Because you use it and you stick like a gecko.
Yeah.
And then you wash it off and your hands are so smooth.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's
so
amazing.
We're closing up phase 2 of testing right now. And then I'm going to, as soon as I get back from the St. Louis Aerialympics, start sending some samples to studios to try.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So this is phase 2. What was phase 1? What was phase 2? Kind of just tell me a little bit.
So phase 1 was, I made you these 2 bottles. Try it.
Okay.
Tell me what you like. We immediately did not like one of the products.
Okay.
Not because it didn't work, just because it was like climber's chalk, basically.
And when you say we, who do you mean?
The chemist. Well, so pre-phase 1, B and I, my partner and I, tried to mix together some garbage, and it was just garbage.
Experimenting in the kitchen.
It was not good. It was comical, and it was bad, and we didn't do a good job. So then after that, the chemist that we hired gave us two options. It was very easily decided that we liked the one. So I let my studios use the whole bottle of the first grip aid and tell me what they felt about it. If it were too sticky, too thick, too whatever. We got some really good feedback. And then from that one formula, he developed 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like slightly different in each
Slightly
one.
more grippy, slightly less, slightly thicker, slightly thinner. And from there, I narrowed it down to 4.
Okay.
The 2 stickier ones were just absurd.
Yeah.
It was
Too much.
glue.
Yeah.
And we kind of knew that, expected that to happen. So from that 4 batch, we distributed through the studios and let them try it, and we've narrowed it down to 2.
Wow.
So we're going to send those 2 formulas out and see what kind of feedback we get from there.
That's great. So you mentioned that you're sending them out to studios. Is this like studios close to you, and like how did you
Everywhere.
find these studios?
So I'm going to just do a little bit of name dropping real quick. Dan Rosen is interested in trying it in the UK, so we'll send some over there. One of my Dew Point athletes is his student, Mimi.
Yeah.
So we'll send some to them. We've got some studios in the Detroit area interested, and Natasha Wong was interested.
Nice.
We've got just kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
Anyone on my feed that happened to see it, I'll send some.
Yeah.
So.
That's really cool. And then that kind of gives you also an idea of how it works in different climates.
Correct,
Because I
yeah.
imagine that plays something into it. That's really and are you just like, are you allowing people to come find you and ask you about it? Or are you
Absolutely.
cold emailing and saying, hey, I'd like you to try this? Or
I don't feel like I'm doing too many cold calls.
Okay.
I have dropped a few emails to my current wholesalers and distributors and said, by the way, I've got this new product. I'm going to drop a bottle in your next order.
Very
or
smart.
whatever. So just that kind of thing. We are doing more of a, hey, this is Dew Point. I see your studio's not a carrier. I would like to send you a sample. We are doing that kind of a thing as a marketing, but...
Okay, very interesting. I really love how we were talking about this before the show, of how all your businesses kind of mesh together.
Yeah.
You're mentioning that the Aerialympics is a sponsor, or Dew Point is a sponsor of the Aerialympics.
Correct.
So you mentioned that that's how you kind of balance everything, is that they all mix together.
Yeah, they have to.
Yeah. Can you tell me, like, were you intentional in starting these businesses and buying these businesses when you first went into it? Like, I want to just immerse myself in this community, or was it just opportune moments?
It was absolutely just moments of opportunity. I knew I wanted a studio. That studio came with a competition. At one point, I had to make the choice to separate the businesses of the competition and the studio. So that developed the second business just for income and tax reasons. I had a partner. It made it a little simpler. And yeah, they all just were. And then Dew Point came up and I was like, well, why not? Let's just do another one.
How did the sponsorship between Dew Point and was that another bath time idea, or?
So Aerialympics thrives on sponsors. That's how most competitions survive. So being that Dew Point is a little bit more of an for-profit based business, it was easy to help Aerialympics out and get and to get Dew Point more known because of Aerialympics.
Right.
So it just
it's a win-win
worked.
situation. I'm going to call this episode Moments of Opportunity, or just Kairos, because I think it sounds like anybody can have opportunity. Everybody has opportunity, but it's realizing it and taking it and not being afraid to take it. And it's clear that that's what you've done. I
think that's the only reason I have any success, is that I see a window and I jump through it. It's been kind of a wild ride the last 6 years.
And how you've navigated everything is really commendable as well. I think a lot of times that we struggle in silence, and you seem to just have been able to not to say that I'm sure you didn't struggle, but you have developed these businesses to sustain them, and that's amazing.
Thank you. I often joke that I've made every mistake 3 times. I've done it wrong 3 times first, and then I get it right.
Yeah, you got to know what's wrong.
And it's true, but I've also learned to accept my failures with as much grace as I can. I'm not always graceful, let's be honest. But if I have failed, then I know how to do it differently again later. So failure is just part of the process, and I feel like that's an opportunity to move differently.
Exactly. I love it. So let's talk about some fun stuff. You just posted about the Worthy show. Can you tell me, what is Worthy?
Worthy is quite possibly my most near and dear project, and something that means more to me than anything else. I think a lot of the reason that I do what I do is so that I can do charity work. Worthy is a charity show for the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. We specifically donate to the Utah chapter, but it's a national foundation that anybody can donate to, and you should if you can. So we had our first Worthy this February in 2019. We raised $15,500.
Wow.
Yeah.
My goal was first show?
My goal was $5,000, and I was terrified we weren't going to make it.
And just 10 grand over.
Just no big deal.
No big deal. So, How did you raise that much money?
I honestly just think my community, our community, is so amazing and so generous.
They are. Did you do like raffles and stuff like that?
We did. So this was a great show. Last October we had auditions, and a lot of people auditioned from my studio. I wanted it to be all levels. I wanted my novice and my intermediate students in the whole Salt Lake Valley or from wherever to be able to feel like they can contribute. So we had auditions. We had Michelle Minks, my pole hero and idol, in the show. We had Leah Franklin, Jordan Mazer. We had all these people. We had people from Texas coming in to perform. And so we rehearsed for a few months, and then we had a raffle. We had a silent auction. We had an online donation.
Oh, smart.
We had...
Very smart. How did you do that? How did you set that up?
So I filled out an application through the organization, and they built the link for me.
Oh, that's amazing.
So it went right to them.
Wow.
And in honor, like in our name.
Yeah.
So that's really easy to do. So from there, like USPDF donated for us.
Wow.
Just different federations and different people from all over our industry really came through. And we did hold the show in my space. Wow. So that made it so that every dollar of ticket sales could go. We had lots of generous donors that donated merchandise and money so that we could pay for all of the expenses. We had 3 shows, and
wow.
Yep, we did a Friday night and 2 Saturday shows.
Wow. So was this like a structured show, or was it okay?
It was not a story like a play.
Okay.
But it was a rehearsed production, and we definitely made sure that every artist in the show was able to say what they wanted to say, and we got a very positive message across. We didn't want it to come off dark or negative in any way.
Right. So cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so last year was your first one?
Last year was our first, and we were just barely approved. Well, this year, 2019.
Right. Yeah, we're still in
wherever
2019.
We are. So 2020 will be my second one.
Okay, and do you have a date planned yet?
We do. February I think it's the 28th and 29th, the Friday and Saturday.
Very cool. That's amazing. I love that you do something charitable. I think with such an entertaining community, it's so easy to just be like, get up on stage and do what you love, and we're going to raise some money. But I don't think it's something that a lot of people consider. I think we get, so stuck in making everything work that some of these super amazing, great ideas where we can help our communities. I love seeing that in this community. I think again, that just speaks to the type of person you are.
Oh, thank you.
So what do you do for fun?
I plan charity shows.
You work for fun?
That's a half of a joke. I love my work. I find my work very, very fun. I own 3 businesses, so I do work a lot.
Yeah.
And I find it very cathartic and relaxing to come up with new creative things to do and to build. But for example, we are here for the Nocturnal show, and we're meeting you, and we came out 2 days early to explore.
Yeah.
We will go find a museum, we'll go drive around, we like to try different restaurants.
Yeah.
We basically ate our way through Central Avenue this weekend.
It's great.
Yeah, so our actual free time is very rare.
Yeah.
But I'm an avid reader, probably
Nice.
reading a business book.
Yeah.
And we like to explore. I just like to get lost in a new city.
Same. I love that. What is your favorite performance of yourself?
Oh gosh, we're to these ones already.
Yes, I know.
Oh, no.
It went by so fast.
Okay, so I would say I have two. I have a contemporary and an exotic performance that are my favorite.
Okay, you can have two.
The opening number for Worthy this year was my favorite performance. It explained why I wanted to do the show, and it gave a little bit of my own personal story and my own personal reasoning with it. My partner was in it with me. And then my favorite exotic was Pole Theatre Canada.
Yeah. This is now my opportunity to tell you, and I have to say Pole Theatre Canada was my favorite performance of you.
Thank you so much.
I went through and looked at a bunch, and you owned that stage.
Thank you so much.
Amazing.
My goal with that one was to get disqualified because I never thought I would win.
Yeah.
So I said, I can't train to win competitions. I might as well train to get disqualified.
Oh, I love that. And then you just
And then I won. And everyone was shocked.
You didn't just win like your category. You were the overall winner of Pole Theatre Canada.
When they said my name for overall, I wasn't paying attention because I had decided who had won already, and it wasn't me.
Oh, I love that. And your favorite performance of someone else right now, just currently?
Okay.
I know, it is.
I have a lot of my favorite performances were at Worthy. Leah Franklin did a performance with paint at Worthy that if you can find, I can send it to you.
Please.
It'll just make you cry and you'll die inside because you'll be so happy. It's so beautiful. I also really like anything Olga Koda does. I mean, even her 1-minute Instagram clips are my favorite thing on the internet.
Same.
Do I have another favorite one right now that I watch a lot? My most favorite ones are a couple years old, the ones I cycle back to. Michelle Stanek did a performance at USPDF a few years ago that was just like jungle sounds and animals. Do you know the one?
Yes, I do. It was so good.
Yeah.
I love those type of performances. Bendy Kate did one where she was like super hip hoppy. Same type of like movements. I love it.
And everything Michelle Minks does is my favorite because she has that like commanding presence and she's just a goddess and she's like, I am so badass that you can't look away from me. And I'm like, yep, you're
totally
you're
right.
Exactly right.
100%.
And Alberto Del Campo did one contemporary piece with his son at Pole Expo last year.
I remember.
Oh my
so
gosh.
good.
So you just get
He's
the chills,
amazing.
like, thinking about it.
So good.
Yeah. So that was not one answer at all. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm going to link to all of them in the show
great.
notes because they're all amazing. So we are pretty much at the end of the show, and I just really want to thank you. So truth time, guys. I was really, really nervous to ask you. I like waited and was like, fuck it, just ask her. And you immediately responded and said yes. And I think, again, I just keep going back to the type of person that you are and the way that you operate your businesses and the studios that you've built and the businesses that you've grown. It's really amazing. So I just want to thank you for everything that you do for this community.
Thank you.
It's not lost on me, and I really acknowledge everything you've done.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It really means a lot that you invited me.
Yeah. You were my first person that I didn't know at all. 100%. No connection.
And now we're going to be friends forever.
Yes. Now I'm going to come to Utah.
Yay.
And come visit the studio.
Excellent.
So thank you both for
Thank you.
taking time out of your kind of vacation to come and be in this space with me. And, check out the show notes, write us a nice review, and like and follow us. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
That was fun.
I hope you enjoyed that episode with Shay as much as I did creating it. I really enjoyed talking with both her and B. They were both such fabulous guests. If you want to know more about that episode, head over to our website at theaerialhour.com to check out the show notes. I work really hard on these guys, so it means the world to me when you check them out. You can also like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Aerial Hour and write us a review on Apple. I think I've covered everything, so I will see you guys next week. Bye.
The bathtub.
The bathtub again.
I feel like that's my debrief space. I go home and unwind, and all of my creativity comes out of the Epsom salts. I don't know.
Yes.